These are the 4 steps of the B.O.S.S method for giving better instructions to your kids. And practicing these 4 steps can help kids listen better and cooperate more, whether they have ADHD or not. The B.O.S.S method is one of my masterclass program secrets to effective directions that ADHD kids actually follow. But there's one important caveat that I'll tell you about at the end. So if you want to have less conflict and make it actually work, make sure to follow through on everything I'm sharing today. And I promise you this last sentence will make even more sense later. But before you can become the boss of the B.O.S.S method, if you've ever struggled to get your child to follow your directions, tap the like button below. It helps more families find this video and helps them know they're not alone. And to help you understand the actual formula behind the B.O.S.S approach, I'm going to give you an example from my own life. Like, quite often, I have mornings where I have an important meeting scheduled right after my kids leave for school. And some days, they can both be so slow at getting ready. And yes, those Squishmallow stand-ins are not my actual kids, but they'll help me explain this better. So, I need my kids to get on the bus because there's no other way for them to get to school, and I need to be on time for a meeting. What do I say to them to get them going? A lot of parents would naturally say something like, I need you to hurry up, we can't miss the bus. Probably while they're simultaneously getting themselves ready. The problem is, a lot of ADHD kids continue to move like molasses when you say and do that. Maybe they would even add a, but why do I have to take the bus? Or some other question, which causes them to drag their feet more. And then there's another set of parents who would politely ask something like, could you put on your coat and backpack and head outside? Or maybe that's just a Midwestern thing, but it inevitably gets followed up with, no, I don't want to go to school from the child. Not quite the listening and cooperation that we're going for. Now, how you start with the B.O.S.S method is really important if you want to be more effective in getting your child to listen. So notice how these next examples are different from the ones I just gave, and see if you can spot the first step in our approach. The bus will be here in 10 minutes. Go get your coat, please. It's important to be ready on time so you don't miss the bus. Please grab your lunch and snack from the counter. The bus is coming down our street. Please head outside. And no, it's not the please, although that can help your instructions remain neutral and model polite behavior to your kids. So it is a good idea to add. But in these examples, I gave the reason for the instruction first. Reasons make it more likely your child will follow what you say. You'll eliminate some of the stalling, arguing, or questioning because you've expressed the importance of the task before you told them what to do. You also didn't abruptly give them an instruction, expecting them to automatically hear you and switch gears right away. So this is the first step. Before your instruction, give the reason. Okay, now to understand the second step, let's take a look at what's different between these 2 examples. Could you put on your coat and backpack and head outside? And the bus will be here in 10 minutes. Go get your coat, please. So there's a reason in the second one, yes. And also the second one is a direct statement instead of a question, which is important. But there's something else. In the first example, I told them to do several things. Put on the coat and backpack and head outside. And there are a few problems with this. The first is, if they only do the first part and not the second, did they still listen to you? Well, they sort of did. And the second, which is especially important for kids with ADHD, is that it's easy to get distracted, off track, or overwhelmed with too many instructions at the same time. Make it easier for them to listen with only one step at a time. Start with just go get your coat, and then move on to the next thing after they've done that. So give your instructions one at a time. For the third step of the B.O.S.S approach, let's take a closer look at these 2. I need you to hurry up, we can't miss the bus. Versus, the bus is coming down our street. Please head outside. This is different than anything I've mentioned so far, so here's a clue. What does I need you to hurry up really mean? What do you think I'm expecting my child to do? You wouldn't know exactly what, and your child probably wouldn't either. The key here is your instructions need to be specific. Make sure that your instructions are specific and clear enough that anyone else watching would know if your child did what you said or not. Like if my husband was right next to me or needed to help with getting ready, he'd be able to tell right away if the kids followed my instruction and went outside or didn't. And I'll get to the question of, but how do I actually make sure they follow it in just a minute? But first, it's time to let me know if you found this video helpful. You need to tap the like button and subscribe. And if you've been paying attention, you'll know that I gave you a reason first, but I didn't give you just one specific instruction at a time. But I still hope you do it, at least for the Squishmallows that have worked so hard on this video. And don't forget to include the 4th step to giving better instructions. Actually, let me reword that. Remember to include the 4th step to giving better instructions. Did you catch the change? It's something I've emphasized in other videos, and it's really important for kids with ADHD. For example, if I say something like, "Don't run so far ahead of me," what do I mean by "don't run so far ahead"? What do I really want them to do? Hold my hand? Walk next to me? Wait at the street corner? Be sure to tell your kids exactly what to do instead of what not to do. State your instructions in a positive way. So before your instruction, give the reason for it to prime their brain that an instruction is coming. Then tell your child to do one step at a time, making it very easy for them and their ADHD brain. Be specific in your instruction so your expectation is clear. And tell them what to do, stated in a positive way. Now, I said earlier that there's one important and huge caveat to getting the B.O.S.S method to really work for you. There are times, of course, when you actually need to be in charge or when it really is necessary to give your child a direct instruction. Maybe to keep a child or others safe, to enforce household rules, or to teach family values. It could also be when you've tried other approaches to encourage a behavior, but the behavior you need to happen is still not happening. But the important caveat I need you to keep in mind is that most daily instructions or directions are really not that important or necessary. There are many ways you can encourage a child to do what they need to do without directly telling them, because too many direct instructions can be overwhelming and impossible to follow through with. This is something important that I talk about in a previous video, so I'll link that at the end in case you haven't seen it yet. And if giving a direct instruction is truly necessary, you need to make sure you have enough time and energy to properly and consistently follow through. That way, you teach your child that you really mean what you say. This is the whole, but how do I actually make sure they do what I say part? And the first part of following through is pretty easy, but it's something most parents forget to do, including me sometimes. But it's critical if you want to encourage your child to listen more in the future. So if they did what you told them to do, the first thing you need to do is acknowledge or notice that they did it. A simple "thanks for listening" is great. Or you can get more specific, like, "I love that you got your coat and backpack. Now you'll be on time for the bus." This further emphasizes the importance of following what you said. Acknowledging or noticing that they did what you needed them to do is key to encouraging their listening even more in the future. You give more attention to the behavior you want to see more of to the listening. But what if it was not so straightforward? You told them what to do with your awesome B.O.S.S instruction, but they didn't do it. If that's the case, check out this video next for the ARC method to follow through and effective consequences. Yes, it's another acronym that will teach you exactly what to say and how to follow through when your child doesn't listen to you. Or if you haven't seen my video on how to encourage kids to do stuff without directly telling them so often, click on this one here. Put your relationships first, and I'll see you in the next video.